Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 So in the first evening of our mini Bhakta program, we discussed the importance of hearing about Krishna, that this is the essence of Krishna consciousness, because Krishna Katha, knowledge, topics about Krishna, are so powerful that they purify our heart and consciousness and establish our relationship with Krishna, so that we remember our relationship with Krishna, remember Krishna, and can go back to him after this life when we remember him and have our relationship established, right? So hearing about Krishna is not different from being together with Krishna. Hearing about Krishna is not different from being together with Krishna. In the second evening, yesterday, we spoke on that we're not the body. I quoted this verse 2:18 from Bhagavad Gita, Antavanta Mediha Nityashakta Sharirina, in which it said that the body is temporary, but the living entity, the soul, is eternal, cannot die. And I spoke on this importance to deeply understand we are not the body, we are spiritual living beings. And today I'd like to speak on a connection between these two topics, actually, because in the first lecture we spoke like on the pure spiritual platform. Yesterday we spoke on the gross platform, and now I speak on the intermediate platform. And the intermediate platform is like the mind, no? the subtle material energy. Yeah? And for this, of course, the Bhagavad Gita speaks a lot on that, but I probably take a verse from the 6th chapter, which gives a nice summary actually of our understanding on the subtle plane and the mind in particular. So the verse goes as follows: Bandhur atmatmanastasya yin atmaivatmana chitaha anatmanastu shatrutve varte tatmeva shatruvat. Translation: For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy.
Which verse is it?
6:6. Right? So for the one who has learned to control the mind is his friend. And for the one who failed to do so, the mind is his enemy. So you can see how important it is to control the mind. So Prabhupada's purport: the purpose of practicing eightfold yoga is to control the mind in order to make it a friend and discharging the human mission. Unless the mind is controlled, the practice of yoga for show is simply a waste of time. One who cannot control his mind lives always with the greatest enemy, and thus his life and its mission are spoiled. The constitutional position of the living entity is to carry out the order of the superior. As long as one's mind remains an unconquered enemy, one has to serve the dictations of lust, anger, avarice, illusion, etc. But when the mind is conquered, one voluntarily agrees to abide by the dictation of the personality of Godhead, who is situated within the heart of everyone as Paramatma. Real yoga practice entails meeting the Paramatma within the heart and then following his dictation. For one who takes to Krishna consciousness directly, perfect surrender to the dictation of the Lord follows automatically. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripata Mahang Bande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swabhadantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Yeah, very ecstatic kitchen, that's great. So, what was spoken here? Bandur Atma Atmanastasya, Yen Atma Vatmanash. Yen Atma Vatmanachita, Anatmanastu Shatrutve, Partetat Veva Shatruvat. This word Atma, Prabhupada explains, can actually mean many things. It can mean mind, even intelligence, body, soul, many things. Atman, the Atman. So in this regard, it means the mind. And Bandhu means a friend, and Shatru is the enemy. So it's very easy to understand when we are starting our spiritual life. I can remember when I started realizing that I have a mind. Because in illusion, in Maya, you don't know, you do nothing, right? You just act because you act. We are often not really aware why we are doing things, actually. And when we start our spiritual life, very soon we realize I have a mind. And it's thinking, and it's often thinking on its own. And often thinking things I don't want to think. Right? Everyone knows. And then it's like a nightmare, almost. It can be like a nightmare, and it's like working, and you're like helplessly observing this whole nightmare movie which is played in front of you. And we have no means, no power, no technique or weapon to stop this. And sometimes it's so strong that we have to act according to its dictations. This is even worse. You think, you see, and then you have to act, and you are helpless. And Bhagavad Gita, there's this nice picture in the picture section of the chariot, right? There's a chariot drawn by 5 horses. And you have a charioteer, and you have a driver. Oh, not a driver, passenger, right? You have the reins, which connect the horses to the charioteer. And this is actually from, as far as I know, from some Upanishads. It's an example given, because this is not from Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada mentions it in the purport, but actually this is a description, I think, from some Upanishad, which explains our situation. The chariot is the body. The horses are the senses, like the eyes, the nose, the tongue, the ears, and touch sensation. The reins, these are the mind. And the charioteer is the intelligence. And the passenger is us, is the soul, right? So naturally, when you have a chariot drawn by horses, and the horses are not controlled, they go wherever they like. And the charioteer is not strong enough to guide them, right? He's maybe trying, but they do whatever they like. He cannot pull the reins nicely. And the passenger, he's like, oh no, where are we going? I don't want to go this direction. Bad, help, right? He cannot do anything. So these horses are the senses. And this is in a situation when we are uncontrolled, when we don't control the mind and the senses, because the senses and the mind actually have a life on their own. In the 15th chapter, verse 7, it said, Mamai vangsa chiva loke chiva puta sanatana manashashtanendriyani prakrtistani karshati. And I don't explain all the details of the verse, but one line, manashashtanendriyani. Shashta means 6. And mana is the mind, indriya means the senses. The mind is the 6th sense. It has the 6th sense. It's the subtle sense. It's the center of the senses, but it's also like a sense. And the senses have a life on their own. The eyes want to see things. The nose wants to smell things. Good and bad is very interesting. Right? Eyes want to see things, beautiful things, but we like to see also bad things. Right? Isn't it that we like to... People watch horror movies. It's so bad. Horror movies are actually so bad Of course, it's horror, and you see people cut into pieces and fear creating, and people like this. I want to have experience. So it's very important before I mention all the details. Why do the senses have a life on their own? Because consciousness, which pervades the whole body, creates experience. Without consciousness, there is no experience. So the consciousness makes an experience of vision, has an experience of vision through the eyes, an experience of the smell through the nose, like this. So we experience the objects of the senses. The senses have objects which fit together. Like the eyes, the object of the eyes is sight, or view, something to see. The object for the nose is smell. Right? So all the senses have their corresponding objects which we strive to experience, and the consciousness gives us the ability to experience. It's like a video camera on itself is useless if there's no one who will see the picture which is recorded. So the body is like a machine, the eyes are like video cameras, right? The voice is like a loudspeaker, and the ears are like microphones. So the body is like a machine, and the Bhagavad Gita says this, yantra rudani mayaya. Yantra means machine. The body is a machine, and the soul is riding on this machine, is maneuvering this machine. But a machine like a robot, without consciousness, he has no experience of what he sees, what he smells. Actually, these senses, these 5 senses, are called also Gyan Indriya. Gyan for knowledge, and Indriya senses. Information gathering senses, or knowledge acquiring senses. Because they are turned toward the outside world. We as the soul sit inside the body, and these senses are turned outside to gather information. And the soul processes. This is what I see, this is information of smell, information of what I hear, and it takes it inside. So the senses, we can understand the world and contemplate the world. So we have full experience of the material world through these senses. Right? So they are called Gyan Indriya. These 5 Gyan Indriyas. And then you have also 5 Karmendriyas. Karma Indriya means senses for activity or working senses. It's said it's the voice or the speech, the 2 hands or the hands, the legs, the genitals for reproduction, and the anus for excavation. This is said are the 5 working senses, which are very important. Sometimes devotees, when we quote this, they laugh, especially when you speak about the anus, rectus too. Oh, it's a working sense, yeah. But ever think about it, it's super important to have good excavation. In Ayurveda, it's all about having good excavation. You eat the right thing, that you can also drop it out, that you have nice, everything works nice, you take the vitamins, and that comes out nicely. And if it doesn't work, it's very bad. So it's very important that this working sense works properly to have a healthy life. Right? So consciousness gives experience of the world through the senses. And it's interesting that nowadays they want to create this called artificial intelligence. Because they have these senses, they are duplicated already, as I said, video cameras, loudspeaker, microphone, all this. They can make a robot, they can even make it walking, put a skin on it, and it looks like a human. And it can even speak and move and all that, right? And it can even have feelings. Not really, but they program it that if you speak very loud and aggressive tone, it can filter, and then it gets also angry. The machine gets angry. Why are you shouting at me? Yeah, they can do this already. But does it have consciousness? It reacts like a human. Let's imagine in 100 years or whatever, they can program it so much that like a human. It's called android, like an android. It can walk, like everything can move. It's really so perfect already, and it simulates like a human. But is it alive? They think they will create this because they have this understanding. Consciousness is just material, it's just creating the brain. And if they can simulate the brain, they can create consciousness, then it's alive. That's what they think. And there is lots of money put into this in artificial intelligence. This is for them a huge thing. Because this would be a big step, right? To create a human as a machine, and then maybe as a soldier or something like this. No? And mainly it goes into the military. It's always about military. So from our point of view, it will never work because consciousness is spiritual and you cannot create it by matter. And even though you simulate, and it is never alive. It's just a machine. But the point they got right is the senses and the body. This is a machine. It's a yantra. But this missing link is this consciousness. This is the missing link. What makes the body alive? What is really life? And it's what we actually are. The living force. Consciousness. Chaitanya, no? The living force. Chitta, consciousness. In the second chapter, 17th verse, there's a very nice verse in this regard. Avinashi tudat vidi yena sarvam idam tatam vinasham avyasyasa nakashita kartum arhati. And in this verse it said, that what pervades, tatam means pervading. You understand? The word pervading, durchdringen. Yeah? That what pervades, durchdringen, the whole body. It's avinashi. Avinasha means indestructible. Vinasha means destruction. Avinasha means it cannot be destroyed. And it pervades the entire body. And Prabhupada and the purport explains this is consciousness. Consciousness pervades the entire body. And it's the symptom for the soul. Symptom of the soul. No? Symptom der Seele. As a symptom indicates its source and proves the existence of its source. That should be the conclusion. If there's consciousness, there must be a soul. But the atheists, they say if there's consciousness, there must be an intricate mechanism in the brain which produces it. But this is their conclusion. Our conclusion is consciousness proves the soul as the sunshine. Even though you cannot see the sun if it's a cloudy day, proves the existence or the presence of the sun. This is the example also given in Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter. Yeah? That a comparison given between sun and soul and sunshine consciousness. It's very interesting. So the consciousness pervades the body, enlivens the senses, and we have this experience. So we are. So and the senses, as I said, they have a life on their own. The eyes want to see. Exactly, this is where I stopped. No? The eyes want to see nice and ugly things, both at the same time. If you drive on the street or something, and you on the highway, and you see a dead body of an animal or something, you're like, oh, but still you want to look at it or something. No? Or if you smell things, you want to smell nice flowers, things like this. I was in India now, and I bought some oil for the deities and for my Shila. And I bought champa oil, champa, and it smells so good. And it's just for Krishna, but the devotee enjoys with Krishna. So when I rub my Shila and I use the oil for him, it smells so good. And Krishna lets us enjoy also a kadamba flower, kadamba oil. Or I bought sandalwood oil, very expensive. Not for us, but for them it's expensive. Very small, well maybe 500 rupees. 500 rupees is like 8 euros, so it's not really much, but for them it's pure sandalwood oil. It's very nice. So we like to smell nice things, but we often like to smell bad things too, like cheese. Yeah, this rotten cheese. It's like here Germany, there's a huge cheese tradition in Switzerland also, in Austria also, and you have this ugly, terrible smelling cheese. You cannot stop smelling it because it's so bad, right? It's interesting how we are attracted to extreme things. Why are people attached to gruesome things? It's when we're in mode of tamaguna. When we're in tamaguna, we are attached to, because devotees, we are not attached to this. It's ugly. Like horror movies or dead bodies, corpses, like this. No? This is tamaguna. But if you're in tamaguna, we enjoy such degraded things. Drugs and this and that, horrible things. No? Okay. So the senses are alive on their own. And because we are since a long time as souls, a long time in the material world, life after like millions of lives we have passed already. So our whole being, and especially the mind, is programmed for sense enjoyment. The senses are always acquired new. Actually, there's a very nice verse in the 15th chapter, which is really nice. It's in the beginning of the 15th chapter. I don't know the Sanskrit, so I cannot quote it, but I'd like to read this to you. No, which was it? 15th? Must be 15. Must be... Yeah, here it is. Yeah. The living entity in the material world cares... No, this is not it. Yeah, here. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. He has spoken about reincarnation. And every time we have a new body, we get a new set of senses to enjoy the world. So senses are always, of course, like the body, it is the body more or less, given new. But they are grouped around the mind, and the mind is not new. The mind is old. We have, since we came to the material world, we have the same mind. It's interesting. And that's the reason why we keep certain remembrances or moods or characteristica. We take them life after life. We can change the mind, right? But you don't get a new mind. It's just you form it, you reform it, and in shape is changed. Because the mind is a flexible substance or flexible thing, right? So it's always formed according to our activity. The activity forms the mind and creates the attachments and aversions. Things I like and things I don't like. These are the two functions of the mind. One is called... no, I forgot the Sanskrit. One is called I like, I want, and the other I don't want. I forgot now the Sanskrit, how come? Anyways, maybe I remember it. There's a Sanskrit terminology. So this is what the mind does. I want this and I don't want this. But why? Because the mind goes according to sense pleasure. What gives sense pleasure, what was a good experience, oh, I like, and was a bad experience, he tries to avoid. Let's say like this, if there is a relationship and you fall in love with a person and you like this person, it's very nice, right? So the mind will always strive for such a thing. Imagine you go to the street and there's a dark street and you meet some hooligans, people, whatever, and they beat you up. Maybe for ladies not so, well, also dangerous, right? So the mind will always, when you come in a dark situation, always try to avoid, or you're scared, you see someone, right? Avoid. Your mind is trained. Oh, this was a bad experience. We don't want this. I forgot the Sanskrit. How come? I forgot it. Anyways, Krishna says, I give remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. No? Sometimes it falls. This is actually a very interesting phenomenon. Where are we taking knowledge from? Remembrance, right? It's somewhere stored here. How do we remember and take it out, and I can think now about it and speak it? Right? Remembrance is a mystical thing. We have so much knowledge stored actually in the mind. The brain is just a processor for it. It's like software and hardware. The computer, the hardware is not storing let's say like this, it just processes the information, something different. Right? The processor is something different, it just processes information. Same way the brain processes information, because information is also not something you can grab. What is information? It's a very mystical thing. Very interesting. So I have all these verses and knowledge and I want to say something, and I'm actually not prepared. I was not learning this now, every word, this is what I say now because I learned. I just speak and think I connect it and take it from here and from there. That's interesting. Where is it? How does it work? It's super mystical, right? So anyway, this I forgot now. This I cannot remember. It will not come. Maybe it comes later. So anyway, that's what the mind wants. I want this, I don't want that. This is its function. according to the sense pleasures of the past. So from life to life to life, we create our mind with its certain attachments and aversions. It's like a tape recorder. Like when you press the record button and it just records. So the mind records all our experiences, and the recording was nice or not nice, tries to get it or avoid it. Icha dvesha, in Sanskrit it's called icha dvesha, meaning I like, and dvesha I don't like. So because the mind has now its life on its own, and how does the mind get activated? Of course, the mind sometimes gets ideas by its own, like in a dream. So many things come just from the subconsciousness, come up. It's like a lake, and sometimes some bubble comes up as a thought. It comes from the subconsciousness, and suddenly it comes up from like nowhere. Or very often it's reminded, right? If you see a billboard or whatever, and you have an experience of the past, and you're reminded, and then the experience from the past comes back. Like with this dark street as example. You see this dark street, I mean, oh, there was something happening, come up, and you have the experience again there. So through this lifetime after lifetime, acting materially and for sense pleasure, we created our mind. And now as devotees, we have the problem that the mind is not stopped. It still speaks, I want this, I want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. And often as devotees actually now turned around, that the things the mind wants, we actually don't want. Isn't it? Most of the things our mind is used to, oh, that was nice, I want, I want, I want. Now as devotees, no. There's no go. And this is a little clash, of course. We have to train, and this is what Krishna speaks here. When the mind is not controlled, it just speaks what it wants, like a small child. I want this, I want this, I want, and it rebels in us. I want this, I want this, I want, cries and this and that. A very difficult situation for the parents, no? For the mother especially. The father is always, no, I don't. The mother, actually, my parents, it was the opposite. My mother was more hard. She didn't give me, my father gave me. He was more lenient. So anyway, so we have this little naughty, terrible, rascal child of a mind, which is like giving us a hard time because it wants all the things which we, our real self, doesn't want anymore because we know it's bad. Like smoking. Isn't it? Not just devotees, this is also the karmis know, or materialists know. We smoke all the time and we are so much in this habit, and then somehow we find out, I don't want anymore, now stop it. And why is it so difficult? Because the mind, of course, some body attachment is there too, but mainly it's in the mind. The mind says, smoke, 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 I need a cigarette, smoke, smoke, right? And then it's so intense. And for us as devotees, sometimes we have also attachments, this and that. The mind still, I want this, I want this, I want this. Right? So, and when the mind is not completely controlled, that we can say, no, we don't do this. Then it's our enemy, because it drags us again to activities which are detrimental to our spiritual advancement. But Prabhupada gives the example, which is very helpful, because that it works, that we become free from these material desires. And he says, the mind is like, or it's like a glass of ink, ink, tinte. And Prabhupada gives this funny example in that sense, because how to change the ink with milk. And he says, like, you pour milk in this glass of ink, right? And that means it mixes. But you keep pouring, so it spills out, and more, it gets clean. And then in the end you have just pure milk. And that this is how we convert the mind. We put in now Krishna, Katha, a holy name, the spirit experiences, and it purifies the mind, and in time it's gone. The naughty child is educated and is pacified, and it's very peaceful. And this is what Krishna speaks here about, when you control your mind, and not just control, if you convert the mind actually, then your mind is your friend. Because as you record the tape of our mind, you can overplay, over record on this tape. In the past, I grew up with tapes, You probably too, you're a little older, right? So we had tapes in the past, no? There are no CDs. And as a child, what we liked to do, we recorded either music, this and that, or ourselves. No? And we spoke on this tape, and then you could rewind and play over it. No? And if you did it too much, sometimes you could hear both the sounds. That's true. So in Krishna consciousness, not quite like this. If you play over it with time, this first layer will actually go completely away. But in the beginning, it's more like overlapping, and we don't know if we are devotees or demons. Right? We have this schizophrenic attitude because we still want the bad things, but we want also Krishna, and we have this angel and this devil on our shoulders telling us what to do. That's an interesting example, no? The devil and the angel. And then with time, the devil goes out when it's completely purified. And then the mind is our friend, because you see a temple and Krishna, you see Krishna, or you think of Krishna. Or isn't it that our mind gets so nicely purified, you spontaneously a kirtan comes into your mind, all right? Or you dream of Krishna, or of the holy name, or devotees, or book distribution, devotional service. In the beginning, not. It's that the advancement in spiritual life is shown especially in your sleep. Because in your sleep, in your dream, you cannot really control the mind, because everything is different, and the intelligence is a little weak. I haven't talked about intelligence. This is an important point too, but I will not. It will take too long. But at night, the mind is kind of more unleashed, yeah, freigelassen, wie sagt man, ungebunden, and then it comes out what it really wants, and that's the reason why sometimes these very materialistic dreams. But with time, when the mind is more purified, it will not be there, and you just dream about Krishna or spiritual things in connection to Krishna. That's what you do, what you like, what you are. And that it shows our advancement, it shows the advancement. So there is actually much more to say, many details now about the intelligence, how you can control the mind with the intelligence, but maybe we will get too long. Maybe we can speak in a separate lecture on this. But these were the basic points of mind controlling, senses, friend, enemy, and what I want to mention at the end, and this is why mantra is so important, because this is what it really does. This is like the what I explained is like the technique, because mantra means that what delivers the mind of what? Of all these impurities and contaminations and recordings of the past. And this will go away. Cheto darpana marjanam. It said, but cheto darpana marjanam. Cheta means the consciousness or the mind, it said. Darpan is a mirror. On marjanam means cleaning. Cheta darpana marjanam. The mirror of the mind is cleaned. This is the first verse of Shikshashtakam. Cheta darpana marjanam. Because now our mirror of our mind, or the mind, is dirty. And when you look into a dirty mirror, you cannot see yourself. And when the mirror is clean, you can see yourself. So this is what happens through Krishna consciousness, that the mirror of our mind is clean, and then we can directly perceive who we are as the soul. But right now it cannot be seen because it's clouded, dirty, and we have no clear vision. So that's the reason why we should take strong shelter in the holy name, which is not just a mantra, it's actually Krishna himself. It purifies the mind, and all this dirt goes away, and this is how we pull the milk in this ink bottle and clean it out. Yeah? Okay, thank you very much. Any questions in this regard? Everything clear?
I have a question.
Okay, you can still ask a question afterwards. Maybe we start as well. Yeah.
So, where do you draw the line between controlling your desires and fulfilling some of your material desires? Because they also say, if you die having a material desire, you will come back to this world in order that you can fulfill it. So where's the line? How do you know?
The line is especially under the guidance of advanced devotees, sadhu sangha, and the guru. That's the how to find out how you can situate yourself to really overcome this, and that's the reason why we have the ashrams and all this. Normally, the brahmachari is more free of material desires, or can overcome his material desires through not engaging in them, and he becomes free of it. And the grihastha ashram is especially have these material desires. I cannot give him up, so I engage them in Krishna's service. I fulfill it in a spiritual way through the family life and all this, and then you get purified. I thought about this also, and I found that, how was it? I haven't talked about it a long time back, but there are 3 kinds of desires. The first is the weakest, is material desire you can give up. Like when we join, we might have material desires for sinful things, but somehow we can give it up. Like eating meat or something, right? Sinful desires, they are still there, but we can give it up. It's maybe a little difficult in the beginning, but we can give it up. Right? Then there are material desires. You cannot give up, but you can tolerate. Meaning you have them, but you can live with them. Like in a schizophrenic state. When you have some schizophrenia and you know it's just a voice and you can kind of live with it. You're not so crazy and act according to it. Right? There was one movie once, I saw a movie. It's called A Beautiful Mind. It's already interesting. You know the movie? And I find it's actually very instructive, because it's not that we watch movies, I have to mention, we don't watch movies, but somehow this came across. So anyway, in the last scene, when everything is over and he realized that he's sick and it's his problem, he's schizophrenic, he realized it. But these 2 guys are still there. Remember in the last scene, there's 2 guys. His whole life he had these friends. This was one girl and one boy, right? Wasn't it? One girl and one boy. Something like this. And they were his friends his whole life. And then he realized, no, it was one man and one girl, like this. And then he realized he is sick. He has this schizophrenia and they don't exist. His whole life he was living together with them, talking, everything. And then he found out they don't exist. And this is, of course, in the movie a big thing. It's actually a true story. It was a scientist, a very intelligent scientist. And in the end, then he realized this, and the point is, he realized this, but they are still there, they are not gone. And he still talk to him, give attention, and he ignores them. Right? He ignores them. You are not real. You are not real. Don't take my attention. You are not real. And this is the second kind of desire, when you realize it's only my mind. Because this is what a materialist or person in Maya does not understand. Maya makes this illusion that it makes you think that you want something what you actually don't want. Maya betrays us. It makes illusion. Oh, this is what you want. And yes, I want this. But it's not that we want. It's just the mind speaking. Like, I want to smoke. Yes, I want to smoke. When you do this. This is called mind. This is called, we haven't talked about all the other details, ahankara. The ahankara, the false ego, makes us identify with the mind. So the mind says something. I like this. I don't like this person. He's an idiot or something. Yes, I don't like him. And you feel according to it, right? Isn't it? But we, the soul, have nothing to do with the mind and its feelings and its desires and its urges. But the false ego makes us identify with it. So this second kind of desire is a desire when we realize it's not us. It's just the mind what wants something, but it's not us, and we can learn to live with it. So first kind of desire, you can give up, it's gone. Second kind of desire, you can live with it, you can tolerate. Still might be sometimes there. This is especially for brahmacharis relevant, like sex life. No? It's always there, lust is always there, but the real brahmachari learns to live with it. They can control it. Like one devotee came to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, I'm free of sex desire, I'm free of lust now. And Prabhupada said to him, are you sick? Everyone has lust. And then they asked him, Prabhupada, do you have also lust? He says, yes, but I don't have time for it. We understand Prabhupada had no lust. He's pure devotee, but he made the point. This is how devotee comes. We have no time for it. We have to do so much for Krishna and we just forget. So the brahmachari, who is supposed to, or is celibate, he cannot engage in any sexual activity, but still the urges are there, the desires are there, but he learns to live with it. Right? The mind. So this is the second kind. And the third kind of desire are desires we cannot give up, we cannot tolerate, means we have to do. And this you do in a Krishna conscious way. Right? So we have to see, and we have to be honest, we have to be reflective. Now, reflective, when you see a reflection, you see yourself from another point of view. You have to see, where am I? What can I give up? Where I can this I give up? What can I tolerate? What I cannot. Like, this is also interesting, especially for the renunciant. It's always interesting for brahmachari who is idealistic and I want to stay brahmachari and I will never marry and I'm so pure and I can tolerate. But at one point he has to see, can I do it or not? And he has to be honest. No, I cannot. Sometimes I cannot, so okay. No problem, Grihastha ashram is there, have a nice family and all this, and no problem. And you, through the activity, living out the desires in a Krishna conscious way, gets purified and then it says really, okay, I'm done with it. Right? So the desires are of different kinds and we have to see which desires do we have and how do we apply this then in our spiritual life. And this is done under the guidance of advanced devotees who give us feedback and coach us. And one important thing I want to mention for the beginning. In the beginning of our spiritual life, we cannot clearly distinguish this. Right? Because if you tell a person on the street, we are devotees and we don't eat meat. And he says, what? You don't eat meat? I could never imagine this. I have to eat meat. Right? Completely convinced. Huh? So when we're devotees in the beginning, we are convinced, no, I need this. Some of those devotees who join and they play guitar. And say, I need and they always play guitar and they could never imagine. Then they chant a little bit and then it's not so important. They can give it easily up. Huh? So actually right in the beginning we cannot distinguish between these desires. Just engage in devotional service for some time and this becomes more clear. Because the devotional service cleans the mind and very quickly the unnecessary things fall away. Huh? Okay, is this kind of an answer for your question? Yes, please.
How can I understand I'm free from some desire? No, because I don't maybe see my desires also. Maybe they sit somewhere deep inside.
Right.
How I can understand maybe one day it's out.
Then what I said, the help is advanced devotee, the guru. Deep introspection too, strong engagement, devotional service, honesty, praying to Krishna, that Krishna helps and reveals, and in time Krishna will show it too. We have to be a little patient too. It's just what I can say, right? Through the spiritual process, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. This is the power of Krishna consciousness. It's not just that we just become Krishna conscious, we see Krishna. We see everything. We also see the material world very clearly how it works. And not just the external, also the internal world. And we see our mind, we see our intelligence, we see our ego, we see how it works. It's amazing. We become enlightened, we wake up. So the more we become Krishna conscious, you can also distinguish. Like for myself, it's still an adventure of this and that to see where I'm standing, but it's much clearer than before and I can... And things change also. Things where I thought, I will never be possible to overcome this. And with patience and determination, we should not give up too quickly too. Right? Should not give up too quickly and surrender to the desire. Give it some time, fight it, and we'll see who is stronger, and then it will come out what to do. But, yeah. Okay. Yes?
Read now in the third canto, Brahma had some strange feelings, and then the Lord said to him, "Give up your body."
Yeah.
Is it because? Can you explain?
Yeah, in that situation, it's interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting point. Is it giving up the body? We can give up material desires? That's the question, right? Some purification might be there, but it's not our process, so we shouldn't think too. And the other thing is Brahma is a kind of different creature, creation person. So when he gives up the body, it's said he gives up a subtle body, he gives up a mentality, and he takes on a new body, and he can deal with such things a little bit differently. So, but for us, it's mainly the purification is the Bhakti Yoga, so we don't have to do something extraordinary, far out, giving up the body or something. Even though there are sometimes recommendations in the Shastra, right, that it's good to give up the, if you're so sinful or such a problem or such, it's very purifying to give up the body. Yeah. Or let's say like this, if a criminal kills someone, it's recommended to kill him. It's good for him. Yeah, things like this. No, death penalty is when it can be done in the right way, it's very good. Capital punishment, it's called. But nowadays it's very difficult because of the corrupt system, this and that, and you hang the wrong person, and this is also not good. But in the ideal situation, it works that the person who does such a bad thing is purified through a death penalty. Yeah.
So if I see that I can kill somebody for something, and I kill it, and our government decides that you did it wrong, they put you in jail. What is this? It's karma.
What if you?
Because from Vedic point, it's you can kill him.
No,
kill
Prabhupada.
From government,
yeah.
They put you in jail.
Of course. So the first thing I want to mention, Prabhupada wanted us to follow the rules and regulations, the laws of the country where we're in. And second, what you mentioned now is not our duty, because as devotees our duty is differently. What you mentioned now is Varnashram Dharma, and as long as this is not rightly implemented, we cannot act on this platform. You're going to think, now I'm a Kshatriya and run around and do something like that, right? No, we are devotees, we have different duties. We have in one sense to tolerate some injustice like this and that, but this is not our duty. There's the government, there's the police, and they have to deal with this. We don't get reaction if we don't interfere with this. No? Okay, so thank you very much. 2-3 sentences in summary. We talked about the mind. We have to control the mind. This is how we do it. And how amazing Krishna consciousness is. And helping us to overcome these obstacles. Because to live with an enemy, it's very bad. Because what does an enemy want? He wants your bad. He wants that you suffer, that you are poor, this and that. Like this, no? Enemy always wants that you are destroyed. And the enemy is right there. So this is the way how to turn this enemy to a friend. Right? So a very nice process of singing, chanting, dancing, taking prasadam. It's a very nice process. Right? Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Bol.
Ananda Krishna Prabhu ki.
Srila Prabhupada ki.